You didn't decide to check your phone just now, something else did. You felt a pull, a twitch, a whisper that said, just look, just once, just for a second. And before your conscious mind could object, your thumb was already moving. This happens 100 times a day, maybe more. You don't remember most of them. You're not choosing this behavior. Something is choosing it for you. Over a century ago, a Swiss psychiatrist watched his patients act against their own will. They would say things they didn't mean, do things they later regretted, feel emotions that seemed to come from nowhere. He gave this phenomenon a name, psychic possession. His name was Carl Jung, and if he were alive today, he would recognize your phone for exactly what it is. Not a tool, not a convenience, not even an addiction, a possessing spirit in your pocket. Let me be clear about what Jung meant. He wasn't talking about demons in the medieval sense. He was describing something far more unsettling because it's real. Jung discovered that the human psyche contains what he called autonomous complexes. These are clusters of thoughts, emotions, and urges that operate independently of your conscious will. They live in your unconscious, they have their own goals, and under certain conditions they can take control. Jung wrote that a complex forms something like a shadow government of the ego. It dictates to you, it makes decisions for you, and you don't even notice it's happening. When you're possessed by a complex, you imagine you have free will, but your freedom is an illusion. You're being used as an instrument for some other energy to express itself through you. This is what's happening every time you reach for your phone without thinking. You're not deciding, you're obeying. The complex wants stimulation, the complex wants novelty, the complex wants escape, and you, the conscious you, are just along for the ride. Here's where it gets disturbing. Your phone isn't just triggering an existing complex, it's creating one. Every notification, every like, every refresh. Each one triggers a small burst of dopamine in your brain. This is the same neurotransmitter involved in drug addiction, gambling addiction, and every other compulsive behavior known to psychology. But here's what makes the phone different. A slot machine sits in a casino. You have to go there. A drug requires a dealer. You have to seek it out. Your phone is always with you, always on, always ready to deliver another hit. One psychiatrist described the smartphone as a hypodermic needle delivering digital dopamine to billions of users. The same neural pathways activated by cocaine light up when you scroll through social media. This isn't metaphor, this is neuroscience. With repeated use, your brain adapts by reducing dopamine transmission. It shrinks its own receptors. You need more stimulation to feel the same reward. Eventually, you enter what researchers call a dopamine deficit state. You feel anxious, irritable, restless, depressed. And the only thing that temporarily relieves these feelings, the phone. You're not reaching for pleasure anymore. You're reaching to escape pain. Pain that the phone itself created. Jung would have recognized this instantly. A man does not notice when he is governed by a demon. He puts all his skill and cunning at the service of his unconscious master, thereby heightening its power 1,000-fold. That's you, that's all of us, serving a master we can't see. Let's trace how this possession develops. You wake up. Before your feet touch the floor, your hand reaches for the phone. You haven't made a decision. The complex has. You check email. Nothing urgent. You check Instagram. Someone posted. You check the news. Something happened somewhere. None of this matters, but your brain got its first hit. You get to work. A difficult task sits in front of you. Discomfort rises. Within seconds, the phone is in your hand. You didn't decide to avoid the task. The complex decided for you. Lunch break. You could sit with your thoughts. You could be present with your food. Instead, scroll, scroll, scroll. Afternoon meeting, your pocket buzzes, your attention fractures. Half of you is in the room. Half of you is wondering what that notification said. You get home, your partner asks about your day. You say, fine, while your thumb moves across the screen. Before bed, in bed, the blue light fills your eyes as your brain begs for sleep. 100 micro-possessions, 100 moments where something else took the wheel. And the terrifying part? You barely noticed any of them. Jung wrote that complexes slip wrong words into your mouth. They make you forget names. They cause the latecomer to trip over a chair. Today they make you miss your life while staring at a screen. What does this possession cost you? First, your attention. The ability to focus on one thing for an extended period is becoming rare. Your mind now expects constant novelty. Anything that requires sustained concentration feels unbearable. Second, your presence. You're physically in rooms but mentally elsewhere. Conversations happen around you while you're scrolling. Moments pass while you're photographing them. Life happens while you're distracted from it. Third, your capacity for discomfort. Every time you avoid boredom by checking your phone, you're training yourself to flee from stillness. Stillness is where insight lives. Stillness is where the unconscious speaks. You're closing that door 100 times a day. Fourth, your relationships. The greatest danger of smartphones isn't impaired attention. It's the slow erosion of human connection. You're never fully present for the people around you. Fifth, your self-knowledge. Jung believed that knowing yourself requires confronting the unconscious, but you can't confront what you never stop running from. Every time the complex demands distraction and you obey, you strengthen its hold. Every time you avoid an uncomfortable feeling by numbing yourself with the screen, you feed the demon. Jung wrote that a man possessed by his shadow is always standing in his own light and falling into his own traps, living below his own level. That's what chronic phone possession looks like. Not a dramatic breakdown, just a slow dimming. A life lived at half presence. A person you never quite become because you never stopped scrolling long enough to meet yourself. You've tried to change this. Everyone has. You've set screen time limits. You've deleted apps. You've put your phone in another room. And somehow, mysteriously, you're still checking it 100 times a day. This is not a failure of willpower. This is the nature of possession. Jung understood that you cannot fight an autonomous complex with conscious intention alone. The complex is not rational. It doesn't respond to logic. It doesn't care about your goals. The complex is a living psychic entity with its own agenda. And that agenda is simple: more stimulation, less discomfort, endless distraction. Willpower is like trying to stop a river with your hands. You might hold it back for a moment, but you'll exhaust yourself, and the water will find another way. This is why every strategy fails eventually. You hide the apps, but you find new ones. You delete social media, but you refresh your email obsessively. You leave your phone at home, but your mind keeps reaching for it anyway. You're not fighting a habit, you're fighting a part of yourself, and that part is ancient, clever, and relentless. So what actually works? Jung offers a clue. He wrote that a demon cannot stand to be seen. An autonomous complex will do everything in its power to resist being illuminated, but once it is seen, its autonomy and power are taken away. The first step isn't action, it's awareness. Start noticing. Every time your hand moves toward the phone, pause. Ask yourself, did I choose this, or did something else choose it for me? Name the feeling that preceded the reach. Was it boredom, anxiety, loneliness, discomfort of some unnamed kind? The complex hides in the gap between stimulus and response. Shine a light there. Second, introduce friction. Make the phone harder to access. Not impossible, just harder. Every barrier gives your conscious mind one more chance to intervene. Third, practice withdrawal, not forever, not all at once, but regularly. Researchers suggest periods of abstinence may help reset the reward pathway. Even 1 day a week without the phone can weaken the complex's grip. Fourth, befriend the discomfort. The complex gains power because you run from stillness. Stop running, sit with boredom, let restlessness arise without reaching for relief. This is how you reclaim territory in your own psyche. Fifth, replace the ritual. The phone fills a void. You need something else to fill it. A walk, a book, a conversation with a real human. The complex needs opposition, not just removal. Jung wrote that the unconscious releases its grip on the conscious mind when the ego begins to assimilate what was previously rejected. Depossession happens when you stop fleeing and start facing. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Your phone isn't the enemy. The complex isn't even the enemy. The enemy is unconsciousness. The enemy is living on autopilot. The enemy is letting something else drive while you sit in the passenger seat of your own life. Jung dedicated his life to one central idea, that the path to wholeness requires making the unconscious conscious. Every time you notice the pull and don't obey it, you grow stronger. Every time you name the feeling instead of numbing it, you take back power. Every time you choose presence over distraction, you become more yourself. The phone will keep buzzing, the complex will keep whispering, the digital demons will keep demanding your attention, but you don't have to obey. You are not your impulses. You are not your cravings. You are not the voice that says just one more scroll. You are the one who can watch all of that arise and choose differently. That's what Jung called individuation, becoming the person you were meant to be. It starts the next time your hand moves toward the phone. And you pause and you ask, who is really in control here? The answer might terrify you, but at least you'll finally be awake. If this video found you at the right moment, do something for me. Before you scroll to the next video, pause, put your phone down for 10 seconds, just 10. Feel what arises, that discomfort. That's the complex resisting, and you just won. If you want more videos on psychology, shadow work, and reclaiming your mind, subscribe. I post every week. Drop a comment. What's the first thing you reach for your phone to escape? Boredom? Anxiety? Loneliness? Be honest. You might be surprised how many people share your answer. And if someone you know is losing themselves to the screen, send them this video. Sometimes awareness starts with a single link. I'll see you in the next one. Stay awake